I think the biggest thing is that concept of thinking bigger. Having that idea. So, well, okay, if I want to have this as a business, then I can't do this on my own. But the big aha is I need people, I need help, I need support to be able to do this. And so now the considerations are bigger. You're sitting there thinking, okay, if I step out of this business, I need to be in a position where it still runs without me. That's the thing. I've got to start hiring certain people so that I can scale. You cannot scale without hiring people. There's no, unless you're in an e-commerce business where it's just you in a store, yeah, you can make $1 million or a couple of $1 million, but you're going to have to work really, really hard, and the margins are really, really small. In this business, the margins can be really big if you get them right.
Welcome to Show Me the Nuggets, where each week Joe chats with world-class entrepreneurs to find out the key principles, strategies, and processes that lie behind their outstanding achievements. Now, your host, the no bullshit serial entrepreneur, Joe Troyer.
Hey guys, it's Joe Troyer, and welcome back to another episode of Show Me the Nuggets. I'm super excited to be here with none other than John Logar. And John, man, I know you got a lot of nuggets to share with us today.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate you having me on. At 4 a.m. in the morning, I might add. 4 a.m. in the morning. I'm committed.
Super committed. When it comes to the agency space, John, and when it comes to agency coaches, man, you're one of the people that I listen to the most. And so I'm super excited to share with everybody, agency specifically on this episode. But I know that everybody else, even if you're just doing marketing for other companies, I know that you'll get a ton of takeaways from today's episode as well. So definitely stay tuned in. Don't leave us. So for those of you guys that don't know John, John and I met about 6 years ago. We ran actually into each other, funny enough, after you had already been on our podcast. You already interviewed at Digital Triggers, and then we ran into each other at TNC for a little bit and shared about 90 minutes together. And I walked out going, holy crap, like you just made me think better. I was such in the weeds. I was like this at TNC, like tactic. And you made me walk out and think like strategy, like change my mindset a little bit. So man, I'm super excited to have you on the podcast today.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate being here, and I want to make sure that people do get some actionable takeaways from our talk too, which is really important.
So I think I want to set the stage, John, by having you talk a little bit about some of the big success and some of the big wins that you've seen in your agencies. And my goal, John, is to help people understand what's possible, because as we were talking about before we started, I feel like there's a lot of bullshit in the industry floating around, I believe, by people that aren't out there doing it. They're not actually building agencies, and what they think it takes and what they think the right steps are, I think are completely wrong. And I think it's left a lot of the marketplace going, I don't really know what's possible. So I'd like to show them, like, if they really think about this like a real business, what is really possible. And I think, man, your success stories could really help you do that.
Well, I've been doing this for about 30 years. I came out of a consulting background. I was hired with a major consulting firm, a major international consulting firm out of New York. These were masters of the universe. And I guess when people think about if you can scale agencies, the agency that I worked for was an $18 billion company. So that scaled. I went out on my own. I started a small business as an entrepreneur. And I think the biggest thing that I learned in my business lessons was to kind of have the end in mind. Start with the end in mind as a concept. So for me, it was like, I'm building a business. What am I going to do with this? Am I building it to sell it? Am I building it to support my aspirations? Where am I taking this? And what is the reasoning? Why am I doing this? Why am I going to work so hard to make this a reality? So one of the big things was getting really, really clear about what I was going to do with the business that I built. I've built several businesses. I want to also talk about the failures as opposed to the successes as well, because life is real. I've been able to successfully exit out of 7. I've failed with 5. I've built 3 into the 8-figure, 30 million plus category. One recently to 8 million in a 3-year period. Another now to 30 million AR in a 4.5-year period. But the big thing with that is to have a vision. Number one is to have that vision, have that idea of what you want this thing to be, why it's so important, and who you're going to help in part of that journey. And unfortunately, you're not going to do this on your own. You need to build a team of people. And so there are milestones in this business. The first milestone when anybody's getting into this business is to make an income. And the magic number seems to be 100 grand a year, 10 grand a month is the magic number that people want to reach. Generally, that's sometimes a handful of clients. That's like 3 to 5, maybe 7 or 8 clients for some people, depending on what they charge, and generally they'll undercharge. But if you want to keep 10 grand a month, you've actually got to generate about 20 grand a month, because you've got to take into consideration your costs, your taxes, all those sorts of things. So the real milestone of revenue for personal income at that 10 grand a month is roughly $200,000 to $240,000, because you've got costs. The next milestone, once you hit the 6-figure, the magic figure is the 7 figures, the $1 million is the figure. From 0 to $1 million, 80% of your energy and effort has to be in sales and marketing, and 20% in fulfillment. My biggest belief is that you're always going to buy the fulfillment if you're making the sales. So 80% sales and marketing, 20% fulfillment, up to $1 million. You're going to have a small team of maybe 3 to 5 people up to that point, but you're going to start to get into a management role. So you as the owner right now, the chief everything officer, the salesperson, the marketing person, the administrator, all that sort of thing, you're going to generally, the mistake that people make is they hire a VA. What you should be hiring is a good quality EA, executive assistant, or a project manager. A project manager or a good EA are people who can think, who can understand what needs to happen, who can build systems, who can communicate effectively. The mistake that people make is they push their tasks down, or they become very task orientated by hiring a VA, and this takes up a lot of your time and energy that you just don't have, because you're still going to do the fulfillment, right? So from there, you get the $1 million milestone. What do? The next milestone is 5 to 10, so on and so forth, and it starts to get bigger. But at that $1 million milestone, one of the things you want to get in early is your systems and processes leading up to $1 million. At $1 million, you become a leader. You as the owner now need to manage a management team, and the best hire that you can hire that's going to accelerate your growth is a operations manager or an operations director. That operations director will run your company, essentially replace you. So one of the things that I want to get to as quickly as possible in my businesses is to get to that key hire of an operations director, so that they will run my business, and then I can work on the strategy, the development. And the second hire is the salesperson. So first hire, operational director, second hire, salesperson. As soon as you hire a salesperson in your business, it is a game changer. It is a game changer if your business starts to accelerate and grow. So in the businesses, in every business that I have scaled, those are the two key hires. Is an operations manager that runs the business and takes you out of the equation, and the second hire is a salesperson that starts selling, because that's going to leverage your opportunity. Then you're going to focus on marketing. Remember, 80-20 rule: marketing, sales, 20% fulfillment. The other thing is to scale is most people get caught in fulfillment themselves. I don't know how to design a website. I don't know how to run a Facebook ad. I don't know how to set up automation for email marketing. I mean, I know the elements and the fundamentals, and I'm sure I could find my way through it, but I don't want to do any of that, because if I'm doing that, I'm not growing my business. So the first thing I did was I always made sure I partnered up with what I call a resource partner. It's what I teach people. Get a resource partner that does everything, kind of like Invisible PPC, manages the client, has a dashboard, sets up the campaign, manages the actual campaign, reports on the results of what's going on, has the expertise and knowledge with a team, training, support. If I can get into a resource partner, this scales me much faster, because then I can actually productize my service. I can have a constructive figure of margin, so I know what to charge over and above my costs, and this way I can be more profitable. Just from a money point of view, you want to keep your costs about 30-35%, and you want to keep your gross margin 65 to 70%. If you keep your gross margin 60-65% at $1 million, you as the owner, including your salary, you're going to get to keep an extra $250,000 net income on top of your $120,000 personal income out of $1 million business. That's what you want to be aiming for. So I've done this in different niches. In a $28 million agency we built, our focus was strategy and customer relationship, customer retention was our area of expertise. Back in the day, we were charging people 25 cents an email. We were running campaigns that were making us $100,000 a day. It was crazy time. We used to actually actually today you can still charge for email, right? But back then we were charging per email 25 cents an email. It was like it was literally raining opportunity. But things have changed. Technology changes. So in that business, I had over 150 people working with me in that business. We had 7 offices around the world. We had clients up the wazoo. It was an absolute nightmare to run. It was a very big business. I had brought in a business partner. We invested a significant amount of money to grow that business. We were spending about $4 million a year on advertising, both above the line and online, to grow that 30 million plus business, right? Recently, about 5 years ago, I started a business by going to a trade show at CES. The niche that I wanted to focus on was robotics. Now, robotics is a very unique area and a fast-growing area. Ever since the advent of the industrial 3D printer, robotics companies are popping up left, right, and center. It's a growing, emerging niche. Your niche is a real key word here. Growing emerging niche, and in that business, I grew that business by going to a trade show and introducing myself to branded companies. When I started that company, I had the idea that I was going to sell that company. So what I did was I went to other agencies, bigger agencies, and said, listen, I introduced myself, said, look, I've got this crazy idea. I want to build an agency based on brands that you want to work with, like they wanted to work with. And so I want to build this agency. It's going to be a recurring revenue model with projects and a team and a management team. And in about 3 or 4 years' time, I want to sell it to you. So I went to 4 agencies and asked them, what type of clients do you want, right? And so I went after those clients. I found those clients at CES, the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas, 5,000 exhibitors, 4 days of madness. I've even had some of my consulting champions go with me to the CES show and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of revenue from people who spend millions on marketing, millions. So target market, opportunity, niche in one space, spending money on marketing. That's the other secret. They're already investing in the ideas that I have because they're much easier to sell to, much harder to sell to. So in Breakthrough, our agency right now, where I'm involved I've been involved at a strategy level with the partnership, and we developed a strategy where we got channel partners together to sponsor introductions to the physical therapy market. We run a very unique event. We do a pitch for 45 minutes, and at the end of that pitch, we generate 30 clients that invest up to $1 million, $1.5 million in revenue in 1 hour, which is a crazy way. That's like massive sales on scale. So 260 locations, 60 remote team members, fully remote. We have a CEO, operations, sales director. We have a structure as a business. We have the core partnership that actually provides service. And now we have a model where we have productized. We actually have info products that we sell. We have a done-for-you service in marketing that's great, generates about $7 million of the patient revenue per month, 9,000 patient opportunities per month, one of the fastest growing agencies in the country. We've just acquired a billing company to now generate billing from the $7 million of the patient revenue that we generate. We're looking now at recruitment because that's another pressure that the industry has. The vision for that business is very, very big. The vision is to make physical therapy first choice for healthcare in communities in the market. Right now, physical therapy is not first choice. Now, this is not a great niche, right? If you had said to me 4 years ago, the physical therapy niche is a fantastic niche and you can make lots of money out of, I would have gone, you are batshit crazy, because these are doctors and doctors are hard to get into. And so this is a thing. But I'm glad I didn't listen because it worked and it is still working. However, it is, competition, lots of people coming into the space. We are the most expensive in the market. We have a rental model as opposed to an ownership model. So we rent our campaigns or our funnels to our clients. We also have the right to market to those clients as well, that we generate as leads and patients as well as part of this product. We are now selling people into a 3-year program. We don't do month-by-month contracts. We do a 12-month program and a 3-year program. And now, so far, I believe 12% of the people we make that offer to buy a 3-year in advance. And some people have even paid in advance for 3 years to lock in price, which is crazy, unheard of in the industry, right? I'm telling you right now, right here, live. So that's I guess that's where the business side is. I've been coaching now for more than 5 years. I have a group called Consulting Champions and another group called Consulting Rocket, and the idea is to help them to do exactly what I do. Is to get really clear about where they're heading, what they want to build, target that market, provide a valuable offer that market will get a result with, and then be able to scale their business. So this is one of the craziest businesses you get involved in. The danger of this business is it's very cheap to get into this business. You don't need lots of skills. It's very inexpensive to start, and if it's very inexpensive to start, it's easy for a lot of people to get their toe in this water. However, most people struggle with delivery. They struggle with what is they deliver. They struggle with a clear offer. They struggle with who's going to benefit by that offer. They also struggle with result. And one of the reasons why I like working with resource partners, and I've worked with Invisible very closely, and we recommend all our champions utilize the services of Invisible PPC and Rocketeers because it enables them to scale. It enables them to be a lot more clear about what they're offering, much more easy to get a result. So this business, although it is complex, there are some simple things that if you follow the simple things, that you can find yourself elevating through these scaling points or milestones in your business quite quickly. The fastest I've seen is you guys, when you had your agency, you went 0 to a million in 4 months. I found somebody that went 0 to a million in 30 days, which is insane. And let me tell you, cold email outreach. Didn't know, had no relationship with the market, had no history with the market that he went after. He had history in terms of knowledge, but had no physical experience with that market. 0 to a million, 86 sales calls in 30 days through cold email, 28 clients at 40 grand a pop in 30 days. Insane.
That's insane.
And no sales page, no website, just a LinkedIn profile, but it just shows you what's possible if you understand some of the fundamentals and the basics of this business. So yeah.
So you unpacked. Yeah, take a breath, and we're going to unpack it. I've been feverishly writing notes of talking points to go back to. So when we were getting started, right before we hit record, we talked about, and after we hit record, pretty directly, we started talking about going after the end in mind and having the end in mind. And you talked about how important that is. For me, the light bulb that I get people to understand that has worked, and I'm curious what your light bulb is. But when I talk with agency owners and I say, do you want to do this forever? And they're like, no. I'm like, so it's a business then, right? It's not like a freelance thing because you want to be able to exit one day. All of a sudden they go, oh crap. Like this isn't like, if it's freelance, nobody wants to buy it. I have to build a business. And that's how I've been able to get people to have that aha moment, John, where they finally like treat it like a business. And they niche down and they come up with a core offer and they get serious about the things that are going to move the needle. I'm curious for you, John, with all the people that you've coached and all the crazy success stories that your students have had, what's the thing that has helped people to have that aha moment?
I think the biggest thing is that concept of thinking bigger. You know, having that idea. So, well, okay, if I want to have this as a business, then I can't do this on my own. But the big aha is I need people, I need help, I need support to be able to do this. And so now the considerations are bigger. You're sitting there thinking, okay, if I step out of this business, I need to be in a position where it still runs without me. That's the thing. I've got to start hiring certain people so that I can scale. You cannot scale without hiring people. There's no, unless you're in an e-commerce business where it's just you in a store, yeah, you can make $1 million or a couple $1 million, but you're going to have to work really, really hard, and the margins are really, really small. In this business, the margins can be really big if you get them right. And the other thing is a lot of people undervalue their skills. So if you're building something, if you have some skills, you can systemize those skills, and those skills become saleable. Those systems, that IP that you're developing becomes scalable. I have champions now that are developing products to support their market. They use that as the entry point, and then they use it done for you as the secondary opener. Or they do the reverse. They go, we do it done for you, but to get you up to speed, we've got this program here that we want you to invest in. So the thought process really is that I want to be able to step out of my business and have my business still grow. I have to hire a team to scale. I can't do this on my own. And I've got to get really serious about sales. Consistency in sales is critical in this business. I have the good fortune to sit down with Robert Herjavec, the guy from Shark Tank, from Herjavec Industries. Exited out of $300 million business, has another business at $250 million in the cybersecurity space. And I'll never forget the conversation, because I sat there and said, look, at the end of the day, all bullshit aside, Robert, what's it take to make it happen in a business? And he just said to me, John, when times are great, sales above all else. When times are shit, sales above all else. Sales solves all problems. And on the other flip side of that, he didn't have this as a quote, but he says, and then sales creates all the problems. But he said, sales above all else. So if I look at the people that I work with, our number one focus is to get consistent in being able to bring on clients every single month. The philosophy that I like to take is one client every 10 days. The average client should be investing between $25,000 and $36,000 plus per annum in your business if you're running a recurring model. No less than that. Very hard to make profit less than that. And you want to be working with people over time. You want to have clients for years to come, not clients for 30 days, 90 days. And this is the mistake a lot of people make when they're just starting out, is they're doing this trial thing. You don't need to do, if you're using resource partners like Invisible PPC, you don't need to do a trial. You've already got case studies, you've already got results, you've got 100, 200 clients, 300 clients that you're managing. That's a toolbox that you can bring to people and say, hey, my team manages over 200 clients in the marketplace in 50 different niches. My team is responsible for millions of dollars worth of ad spend every single month. My team has the resources, the systems, the processes to leverage your opportunity. And to get the best possible results is we need to scale. And to scale means we need to work together in a process that we're going to be working over a period of time, not over 30 days. You can't get people, you can get basic results, or you can get some results, but you can't get people the results they're looking for in 30 days. And you certainly, even at 90 days, the results are just starting to kind of create momentum, and they give up. And so what happens to the marketplace is we have taught them to give up every 90 days to go and find somebody else. This is what the market has told you. So one of the things I would highly encourage you to do is they can't buy it unless you offer it. And what you want to offer is a 12-month program, a minimum of 12-month program. If they're going to be with you 12 months, they're going to stay with you for another year or 2 years if you look after them, if you nurture them and have great client relationship. But that's the trick. And here's the thing: don't call it a month-to-month contract. Don't call it a 12-month contract, and don't call it we're doing Facebook ads for 12 months, management for ads 12 months. We're not doing that. What we're doing, or the words you should be using, is we have a 12-month business development program, and one of our core areas is Facebook or AdWords or Omni retargeting or whatever it is that we do. It is not everything that we do. And people will pay for strategy, which is what most people don't charge for. People will pay more for strategy than they will for the service, right? We have people that I work with that do just sell websites, right? But to buy a website from them, you've got to have a $25,000 development piece. Before you buy the website, you've got to give them 25 grand up front to do a blueprint on your website. Your website is going to cost you between $150,000 and $300,000 plus. Websites, right? Website developer, small team, 5 people working on major projects, making $2 to $3 million a year selling websites, right? Systemized process, IP around strategy. Strategy is a line item that you need to put on your invoice for clients, because you're thinking about that on how to get better results for your clients. So critical thing, think big, think how you're going to walk out of this whilst it's still growing. Think about what this is going to be worth to you as well, how this supports your aspirations, your family. You need to have a strategic plan in place that is malleable and workable, right? You've got to have a plan, right? So my question to people, first of all, is how much revenue you want to generate. And let's say the magic figure's at 120 grand, right? 120 grand, great. To keep 120 grand, you've got to do about 200 grand, right? 200 grand means if your average sale is, let's say $3,000 per month per client, right? You need 6 clients to make you 200 grand, right? Then how many people do you need to present to get 6 clients? You might have to present to 12 to 18 people, right? So 18 people you've got to present to. Now, to be able to present to 18 people, you might have to talk to about 36 people, right? So now, to generate $200,000 at $3,000 a month, it's actually $216,000 at $3,000 a month, you've got to talk to 36 people to get 18 presentations to close 6 clients to have $200,000. And now you have a plan. And most people have no plan. Most people, when I ask them, what's your plan for the month, they don't know. How many appointments have you had this month? They don't know. Or they go, I've had a few, but I've had no presentations. Well, really hard to grow a business without presentations. So the focus right at the very beginning, and we do this every single month in all of my businesses, we sit down and we know exactly how many clients we want to bring on board, what their average revenue is, what we're actually charging, what our different business groups are, and we work towards a plan, a marketing plan to achieve that outcome. Right, and by doing that, we've been able to scale and grow. Without the plan, you're just a tourist, as General George S. Patton once said, the famous World War II general. For those people who don't know the history, he said, "Without a plan, you're just a tourist wandering around aimlessly." Right? You need the plan. Right? That sales plan that I've just given you. Think about it. How much money? What is the average sale? Then multiply that by 4, because that's going to give you the amount of presentation you're going to have to do to generate that one sale on average. And then multiply that, double that again, and that's going to give you how many people you've got to kind of speak to get to that point of having that fit. Now, $200,000 business, you can do that I've seen people do that in 90 days. I've seen people with no experience, literally from scratch, to go from 0 to 200K in 90 days by following that plan. That's it. To do that will take you roughly 2 hours a day. That's it, 2 hours a day. What people do is they tend to focus on consumption. They tend to focus on getting their ducks in a row. What you really need to be focusing on is actually having conversations. The one thing that I say to people when they first start with me is you need to understand how business works. To do that, you need to talk to people, real people, not internet marketers, right? Real people who run real businesses. And you've got to ask them, how do you generate your clients? Where do you advertise? Why does a customer buy from you instead of going to a competitor? What is the sales cycle of how a customer buys? What are your profit margins in this business? What do you believe the opportunities are? Why are you so great? Where are you taking this business? How are you building this business? If you understand how businesses work, then it's really easy to sell to them, because there's 3 areas that most businesses fail in. Number 1, they have a very poorly optimized sales process. That's number 1. Number 2, they work tactically, they don't work strategically. So they're essentially running from promotion to promotion to promotion. Most businesses are promotion businesses. They're not actual real businesses. The third thing is people. They struggle with management and systems and processes like any business in the market. And the people you want to target, I always say to people, don't go to small businesses because they'll break your heart, because they don't have the money, their expectations are way high, and the amount of investment is low. Where you want to start is, and where I always start, is businesses 5 million plus. In the PT and the physical therapy space, we're looking at businesses around that $2 to $5 million dollars is where the sweet spot is, right? Because these people, they've got team, which forces them to spend money. They have to spend money to keep that team alive, to keep that business going. They've got assets, they've got offices, they've got buildings, they've got inventory, they've got to do advertising promotion. If they're location, destination orientated, they need to spend money on marketing. So if you are offering marketing services to people, then go to people who are already spending money on marketing. If people often ask me if I was in AdWords, who would I go to? I would go and find the people who are spending the most money on AdWords. That's where I would start. Now, I wouldn't be starting with people with a $3,000 or $4,000 ad budget. I'd go to the people who are spending $100,000 on an ad budget, because there's something that I do know when people are spending that kind of money. Most times, 70 to 80%, you've seen this, Joe, campaigns are unoptimized. And if they're unoptimized, it means there's a lot of wastage. And what you can do very quickly is make some adjustments, minimize their spend, get much better results. And more importantly, you can actually build a foundation of a stronger structure to get results and outcomes for your clients. So if somebody put me on a street corner and said, you're going to be an AdWords guy, the first thing I'm going to do is go to the local library, get on the internet, the local library for free, and just Google business and look at who's running ads and contact those businesses. Before we go here, I want to give everybody a really simple step-by-step process to just literally close deals. So remind me of that, and I'm looking at the time. So I'm talking too much, Joe. You go right ahead and ask me the next question.
You talked a lot about what to find in a niche, or what to look for in a niche. Obviously, the people spending money was one of them. What are your other kind of niche criteria, highest level?
I have to be able to help them. I must know that I can help them get a result. Now, if you're starting out, that's going to be difficult. So what I would recommend is that you get involved with a resource partner who already gets the results for that market and understand how they get those results. So then you can go to the market and say, hey, we already know we can get predictable results for you. So number one, you need to know you've got a result. Number two, you need to craft an offer that's going to work. And so here's my cheat sheet of offers. If you're going to do offers, one of the things that I tend to do is there are people who've already spent millions and millions of dollars on testing ads. That's in every market, in every industry. There's somebody that's already spent millions of dollars in testing ads. So if I was in the fitness market, there's a company called LA Fitness, right? It's a very large fitness group. They have spent tens of millions of dollars in testing offers that work for their gyms and their fitness facilities. And so if you go on Google and look at Google Images, you can type in best LA Fitness offers, and the ones that come up the most are the ones that they've been spending the most money on. They're the ones that work. Now, I would not swipe LA Fitness's offer. What I would do is I would look at that offer and say, great, how can I adapt that offer to the businesses that I'm helping? Because if we know that that offer works, we know that if we have a sales process to support that offer, then it's going to be a rock star. So the first place I always look is look at who's already spent the money, who's already been doing the testing, what type of campaigns have been working, and very quickly I've got a campaign that works. There's a really cool piece of software called iSpionage, not espionage, iSpionage.com. You can literally type it, look at a company, look at their ad spend, look at their landing pages, look at their text and their ad text that is actually working, the ad copy, and you can look at 4 or 5 people in that marketplace and you can see some consistencies. Then you can go to the marketplace, listen, if I could show you the 3 best top performing campaigns with the best copy and the best offers in the market, can we work together? It's one of the easiest ways to get clients is show people what already works. Right?
Yep.
And you know, if I'm working with IPPC and you specialize in getting lawyers personal injury case studies, or you help plumbers get clients, I would say, great, let's look at the plumbers, let's look at some of the best offers. We're already getting results for these guys. And I go, plumber, dude, you want a proven system that is already working, getting results. So right now, you may not have one that is predictable, that is consistent. Can I help you? Can we work together to help you get a consistent, predictable outcome so that we can build this business that you say you want to build? So for me, I got to like them. You got to like the people you work with. It's really, you know, a lot of people choose dentists. Dentists are hard to work with. I have people who work in the dental market, and they do really well, but they work really hard. They know that market really well. They've had skin in the game. They're skilled. But it's a tough market to get into, right? Because doctors don't want to get on the phone with you. And one thing is you want to be able to have direct access to a decision maker. So direct access to a decision maker, businesses at that 2 million to 10 million range. 2 to 10 million, it's really easy to get a hold of the managing director, CEO, president, principal, managing partner of a business. That's why that's important. So you got to like them. You got to like this business, because if you don't like it, you're not going to do too well for them. Number 2, you have to be able to get a result. You have to be able to help them get a result. And number 3, can they pay, or will they pay for your services? Will they pay? So if they're already spending money on marketing, they will pay. Yeah.
100%.
And generally businesses 5 million, 5 to 10% of their budget goes towards advertising and marketing. So that's $250,000 to $500,000 in the budget that we can work with, right? And remember, if our average client is doing 36,000, that's like that's less than 1/10 of that budget, right? Goes to you, right? And that's profitable. So it's an easy sell, or it's an easier sell. I shouldn't say it's an easy sell, because I'm going to tell you the easy sell in a moment. But anyway, but hopefully that answers your question.
So, John, I'm curious, why did you move to a 12-month program?
Because at 3 months to 6 months, you're still learning. You're still learning how to work with a client. You're still learning what the results are. You're still getting feedback on the analytics. You need data. If I look at Breakthrough, one of the, for the first 6 months, for the first 12 months, it was about getting data. It's about, and to be able to get data, you need time. And so when we started with our clients, from day one, I said that we have to sell a 12-month program, and we're going to call it a business development program or practice development program. That's what it is, a practice development program. And it goes for a minimum of 12 months. Right, and to be able to do that, that gives you data, that gives you the ability to actually see what's going on, make adjustments, and improve. Without that data, it's really hard. Now we're 4.5 years in and we have millions of data points, right? So we know how these campaigns work in more than 270 different markets, big or small, right? We know what the conversion rates are. We know what the average plan of care is. We know because of it, because we've collected all this data, we now can go to the market. So 12 months gives you good data points. At 3 months, you're only just beginning. Most people don't A/B split test. They're not testing. Marketing is all about, my mentor, your mentor, Jay Abraham, guys like Dan Kennedy, who I've had the good fortune of hiring and working with, guys like, John Caples, the history, the legendary guys, Balenciaga, Schwartz, all these guys. The number one thing they will tell you if you want to scale a business, test, 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 test. You can't just do one-shot campaigns. You've got to find and massage what works. This is why you need to educate your clients as to this is a process, this is a strategy, this is what they're paying you for and investing. And half the time we are not charging enough. Make sure you remind me to talk about money, but we are not charging enough for our skill sets and what it's actually truly worth to a client. So that's why that's why I say 12 months. And when you say to people, I've got Brian, one of the guys that I just started with, he's been in the chiropractic game for a couple of years now, 30 day, 90 days, 30 day, 90 days. So what happens? Half his clients leave at 90 days because he's given permission for them to go. First, I said, we no longer sell a 90-day program. From now on in this business, we only sell a 12-month program. He went and offered a 12-month program to the next 7 people he presented to, and they all bought the 12-month program because that's all he was offering. He was not offering 90 days. He wasn't offering 30 days. He was offering a 12-month program.
I think we give a cop-out, right? When we do that, ultimately, even if you hit your KPIs, right, during those 90 days, those 60 days, right, doesn't mean that your client was actually able to turn that into revenue out the door to really have a good ROI. And so I think that's the problem, is people just think about what they're doing. Marketers just think about, I got them more leads. They don't necessarily think about the timeline for them to actually be able to turn that into money.
That's the other thing, and you made a really interesting point in terms of getting people leads. You need to go beyond just getting people leads. You need to make sure that they're converting those leads. You need to make sure that those leads are showing up for appointments. You need to make sure that the client is aware of the campaign that they're running and making their sales team aware, who's handling the inquiry, that, hey, we're running a campaign right now, and this is the calls that are coming in, and we need to help these people to actually answer their questions to help them buy. So if you are a true lead generation business, you are actually helping your clients with the understanding to close those deals, and you're helping your client to get focused on optimizing the conversion. That's where you become a true lead business. But if you're just sending leads to people, they're always going to tell you the leads are bad. They're always going to tell you, so you send 100 leads to somebody and they can't handle 100 leads. This is what happens with small business. They can't handle them. They say, well, I didn't get to them in time. They burnt them. These leads are useless to me because I can't convert them into sales. Not everybody's jumping out of the boat, jumping out of the water into the boat, onto the frying pan, filleting themselves, and there's a sale. It doesn't happen that way. So some people, when you say I'm going to give you 100 leads, you're giving people too many leads. They can't even cope. They can't even follow up. So you want to also talk about managing leads. You want to talk about lead management with your clients. And this is where building a program, an info product, is what we did. We built an info product to teach people that what they need to do at every stage of the sales process, and we charged them 12 grand for that product. And some clients, we actually make them buy that first before they sign up for 12 months. So they do that exercise so that when they do get into it, that they're converting those clients. So you've got to also realize there are about 8 different ways to make money out of this business rather than just selling a recurring revenue for service. Yeah.
So what do you think is the biggest retention mechanism, right, that you've seen or that you've seen at your disposal in the multiple agencies and authors that you guys have ran?
So number one, right at the very beginning of any relationship, when a client has decided to invest in your services, here's something everybody can do. We do it at all our agencies. I even do it at Consulting Unleashed with our clients, is you want to very quickly hop on a video and say these words, right? You want to say, hey, Joe, I want to thank you for taking the time to entrusting us and investing in our services to help you grow. My team and I are super excited. We're going to get to work and work towards outstanding results with you. We are looking to work with you for years to come. But first of all, as part of this process, I just want to say thank you for taking that time to invest in our services. Thank people for becoming customer first. If you do that little 3-minute video, the script is right there if you're watching this, send that video out to every single customer that buys. 10 minutes after they buy, send that video. Second, send a thank you card. Send something nice to say, I really appreciate that you value their service. Then you want to do an onboarding interview. In that onboarding interview, you want to understand how that client has made mistakes with other providers in the past. What didn't work? What did work? How would you like it to be? If you're asking these sorts of questions, the client sees that you actually care about the relationship. They will not treat you like a supplier. They will treat you like a partner and advisor. So your onboarding process has to ask questions. You have to survey them. And in surveying, you're going to do the thing that you need, and that is to understand how their business works so that you can help them, so you can get them better results, right? And so you can assess. So also, in that, you're able to set expectations. You're able to set expectations of the client, and you're able to set expectations for you to be able to deliver as well. So those 3 things, say thank you personally with a video right up front, straight after they sign up, say thank you. Buyer's remorse, minimize buyer's remorse. Number 2, send them something to say thank you. Send them a card, send them a little pack to say, hey, welcome, thank you, really appreciate it. Do something nice for their team. That works really well. One of our champions, what he does is he asks them to take a team photo on an iPhone, send the team photo. They take that photo to an acrylic designer who takes the photo, turns it into a painting. This costs about $200, and then they send the painting to the client to say, hey, really looking forward to working with you. Really appreciate being part of this. Your team is important to us, and we just want to say thank you for your client. And this artwork presented by that agency, guess where that artwork goes? They walk past it in the office every freaking day, and they see the team are blown away. They're blown away. $200. They've got a client that's just spending 40, 50 grand a year in their services. But the idea is you want to create an emotional connection between you and the customer, and you want to say thanks. Nobody says thank you. The least that I would send is a nice book to say thank you, right? $20. So say thank you. So number 2, video thank you, then physical thank you, then onboarding survey. These are 3 things. There are several other things, but if you do these 3 things, your clients will stay a lot longer, because what you're doing is you're creating an emotional connection between you and your client. And that's what we do in all our businesses, is we want to create an emotional connection. So even if you mess up, you can mess up a dozen times and they still won't leave you, because they believe your intent and you are going to do what you say you're going to do, and that is help them out and get a result.
I think the other thing is obviously not going month to month, but having a 12-month program, right? Like that's gonna do a whole lot for your retention. Why did you move from 12 months to 3 years?
Well, if you don't offer it, they can't buy it. Right, that's the thing. So we realized after, and this happened like in the 3rd year of the business, we realized that there are people who've been with us for 3 years, and so we've been increasing our prices. In fact, over a 3-year period, we had about 7 price increases over a 3-year period, and we're just about to go to another price increase. And so what we thought we'd do is, because we rent a funnel, that's what we do. We sell one product, rent a funnel, and we sat there and said, you know what? If you want, you can lock in the price for the next 3 years. You can sign up now for 3 years in advance, and you can lock this price in for 3 years. And lo and behold, people start to buy it. The old adage, they can't buy it if you don't offer it. If you want to offer a high premium service to somebody, offer a high premium service so that they can buy it. Put value in it, explain and help them understand what that value is, they're going to buy, right? So yeah.
You said to remind you about money, I think, and where you were going was what you're charging.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to blow people's minds here. This only happened 2 weeks ago. They're working with a person. They were selling $3,000 websites. $3,000 websites, right? And they weren't making any money out of a $3,000 website. I think they were making about $400 or $500 profit out of a $3,000 website. A lot of work, 6 to 8 weeks getting this together. Lots of back and forth. By the time they worked out their profitable hourly rate, they were working for $10 an hour. They could go and work for In-N-Out Burger and get $15 an hour and not have all the pressure, right? Which is crazy, right? So margin is really, really important. And what people are prepared to pay, you may be surprised that if you lowball a price, the client may sit there and go, why is it so cheap, right? So one of the things you want to be mindful of, everybody here, whatever price you're about to charge a client, add 20% to that price. That extra 20% is your net profit. So if you're going to charge $2,000, charge $2,200. If you're going to charge $3,000, charge $3,600 instead. Just put the price up by 20%. The client doesn't know the price until you reveal the price. So you need to take into consideration all your costs. You need to put your time. How many hours are you going to spend managing this client per month? You need to charge in your product price. You need to charge for that time. The minimum I would be charging would be $100 an hour for your time. If you're spending 5 hours on a client's business over the course of the month, you then add $500 to the bill, to the cost, not to the profit, to the cost. So whatever your cost is, the minimum that you want to be charging is 3x on cost. That's 100%, not 50%. 50% is doubling the price because you still have to pay half of it back, right? If you're doubling the price for $1,000 cost to $2,000, that is not 100% markup. That is a 50% markup because $1,000 goes back to the cost, right? You only get to keep $1,000. If you want to make 100% on cost, you need to charge 3 times. 3,000 on $1,000 costs. So now you know you're profiting. You're profiting at 70% on cost of 30%. Now, price by value, you can make even more money. If you know roughly what the result is, you can charge 10% of the value. So if you can make a client $100,000 a month, you can charge $10,000 a month for that $100,000, right? That means now the client is paying you 120 grand a year instead of paying you 30 grand a year, or 36 grand a year, or 25 grand a year. So you can price on value, right? If you're pricing on value, you've got more scope and room to do a better job because you're resourced. I always say to people, if you don't resource me, I'll guarantee you a mediocre job. But if you resource me and give me the budgets that I need, I'm going to guarantee you an outstanding result, right? You get to choose mediocre or outstanding. Which one do you want, right? So pricing is elastic based on context. In our market, the reason why we're increasing our prices is because of the results we get. $7 million of patient revenue per month. That's insane. Right, that's 80. That's what's that? That's 80, 90, nearly $90,000 of the patient, $90 million in patient revenue a year that we bring to the market. We bring 120,000 patient opportunities to the year of the market. That's a huge result, right? So for us to charge $2 grand a month for something like that is insane, right? Our starting price starts at 6, and then we go up to. We have clients paying us 20 grand a month, right, for the same service that somebody's paying us 6 grand a month for. But they're using it over multi-locations, right? And the other thing is, what most people don't forget is, if you're charging a management fee, you're charging the management fee for one campaign. You're not charging a management fee for 3 different campaigns, right? You don't get the same fee. 3 campaigns, 3x the management fee, right? Because the time, energy, and effort you go into spending on developing strategy for a new campaign is going to be the same amount of effort. And so if you do that in your current margin, you're running 2 campaigns or 3 campaigns for a client based on your current margin, you're actually minimizing your expenditure. You're actually dropping down in your return on investment for you as a business. So pricing strategy, really, really important. And it's really weird. 10% of the market will always take the most expensive price. 10% of the market by far will always take the cheapest price. If you are experiencing that 10% of the market, I highly encourage you to inflict those customers on your competitors. You don't want the people who choose lowest price. On average, most people, because they understand value, they will choose the middle price. So if you want a neat trick to increase your prices, have a low ball poverty pack as your standard pack, which is your current standard pricing. Have a next pack that adds a little bit of value and increase the price in the middle, and then have a premium package at the end and say, this is the enchilada that everybody really wants. Not everybody does, but our clients that do this get an amazing result because it's the enchilada package, right? And so what you do with a client, you want to create a yes or a yes situation in the scenario. So yes means of these 3 things, based on your experience and based on, most of our clients pick number 2, but we do have clients pick number 1. Of these 3 things, which of these packages or programs suits you best? It is a yes or a yes answer, not a yes or a no answer. And they'll say, oh, I want the middle one. Great, let's work with you on implementing the middle one, right? So that's how you can create elasticity in the pricing structure.
Beautiful. And we're running out of time here. One more thing I promised I'd remind you of. What's the one tactical client getting thing that everybody can go implement right here, right now?
Okay. So here's how you close a deal really quick and really easy, right? Most people, it's a really simple structure. If you follow this model, it'll work most of the time. Most of the time, if you get this right, it's really simple. You need to understand what the client's objective is. What is the objective? Why, they say, I want to generate an extra 10 patients per month, or I want to generate 20 clients per month, or 5 new clients a week. What's your number one objective, right? So you need to have them articulate. Look, at the end of the day, it's important. You want to go from here to here. What is the gap? Why? What is this? What is important? What's the objective? Number one, get the objective, right? Number two, why is this important to you? As a business, why is this outcome a must-have for your business? So they're going to articulate to you why this is important that we achieve this outcome, right? And so the next question is, what is the holdup? What's holding you up from achieving this outcome? What are the bottlenecks that are stopping you? You said that this is what you want to achieve. This is why this is really important. Now, what's stopping you right now? What systems and processes that are not working, that are not giving you that extra over and above revenue and income that you desire for your business, that you must have, right? And they'll say, well, there are team strategy, systems, blah, 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 blah. And the last thing is, and this is how you close the deal, right? The last thing is if we can work together and devise a plan to make sure that you're working on a trajectory of hitting this outcome objective, is it okay if I show you how we can work together to implement that plan? That's it, right? It's really hard for somebody to say no to that because they're telling you this is a must, it's important. It's a must, and a must is I need to do this now, not later. So we need to clarify, is this a now thing or a later thing? No, we need to do it now. Great. So you're telling me that this is what you want to do. This is why it's really important. This is what's stopping you. Let's work together on a plan using our strategies to bridge the gap, to eliminate those bottlenecks. Bridge the gap, working together from where you are now to where you want to be, right? And then if we can do that, can I show you how we can work together to get that outcome happening? Every single person you ask that question to is going to say yes, and that is a sale.
That's perfect. Beautiful. Well done. I go through that process, but it takes a whole lot longer than you just explained. So that was beautiful. That was high level, nutshell, something everybody should be using in their sales process, and all too few people obviously aren't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Need to focus on sales. Need to focus on two things you need in this business: appointments and presentations. Appointments to talk with business owners to see if they're a fit, and presentations to sell them. That's all you need in this business at this stage. Anybody listening to this podcast, I don't care how big or small you are, you need to have consistent conversations every single day. One conversation a day, 20 conversations a month in a 5-day working week. If you have 20 conversations, you're going to close 3 to 5 deals. 3 to 5 deals for anybody listening to this podcast per month is a game changer. That is how you scale your business to $1 million plus.
So last question here, just looking at the clock, we are hitting the top of the hour. We're about to. So John, instead of asking you to recommend 3 books, like I feel like they do on every single podcast under the sun, we try to do something a little different. So I want to ask you, John, what's the one book that, as you look at your business and businesses today, right? What's the one book that you feel like has made the biggest impact on your businesses?
The one book that not only just made the biggest impact on my businesses, but also on my life is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. There is a new version, How to Win Friends and Influence People in a Digital Age. But that book, it was written in the 1930s. It still stands as probably the best sales book ever written, best book on mindset, best book on being a friend, to have a friend. That's what you want to take with you as a philosophy in business. But I was very lucky when I was 17-year-old, somebody actually handed me that book. It was the first time I'd ever read a book, anything like that. I've read that book dozens of times over the last 30 odd years. I still go back to it. I actually still carry it with me, and I give it away to a lot of people. But if there was one book that changed my life and certainly made the biggest impact on my businesses, is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Wonderful, John. Man, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for coming and sharing from the heart, man. I know that you just come to deliver value, and you definitely showed everybody at Digital Triggers all of the nuggets, so to speak. So I really appreciate that, man. I'll make sure that we link up to Consulting Unleashed in the chat. Is there anything else that you want to make sure that we link up for everybody?
Just go to Consulting Unleashed and go and grab the mini course. I've actually stepped out a really simple 5-step process that if you do the 5-step process, you actually make a sale. So it is free. You just jump in and just grab it. It's a really cool little program. I shot it from Manhattan side of the Brooklyn Bridge to the Brooklyn side of the Brooklyn Bridge. I literally shot a whole mini course on how to generate clients. It's a lot of fun, but easy to grab if you just go to consultingunleashed.com.
Awesome, brother. I really appreciate your time. It's been absolutely fantastic, man, and I can't wait to do it again.
Awesome, man. Looking forward to catching up along the way, and I really appreciate you having me on the show. Take care.
Of course. All right, everybody. Joe Troyer here from Digital Triggers signing out. See you, John.
See you, man.